Warrnambool Aboriginal Cooperative commenced in 1992 with a charter to deliver employment outcomes, training and small business development for the local Aboriginal community. Our community members at the time didn't have the networks, didn't have the skills to go and approach an employer and say, well, this is what we really, this is a career choice. So we had to develop the very micro businesses, if you like, to get people skilled up, and then we moved on to where we were hosting people or placing people in open employment. And the core businesses, if you like, are Tower Hill, the wholesale nursery, Indigenous employment services, and another one that we've got is textiles.
Welcome to Tower Hill. Before we actually start the little quick impromptu demonstration, I'd like to say Ngatama ngatuk malu ka tanganai kire warong Gundidj lidia mereng nguchung laka, which means, in our language, that means welcome here today. And I'm just going to give you a little quick talk about a couple of items or implements we have here. And one of the important factors of having a community enterprise, being Indigenous operated and Indigenous owned, is the fact that we actually feel as though we own that as our people. So when we actually venture into a business setting, we feel not just obligated from an employment point of view, but also from a cultural point of view. That's a pretty big kangaroo, but Aboriginal cooperatives have been around for a long time, where they employ health workers and home and community care workers. We're actually talking about real business. We're actually talking about economic sustainability, where they're actually viable jobs in the mainstream sector. And I think that by having it Aboriginal owned and operated is that people are more comfortable and more willing to actually participate in the workforce, in the employment sector, which I think is another benefit, which is good.
We do a lot of market research in everything we do. We've done here, for instance, at Tower Hill, we've done visitor surveys. We've hooked into Tourism Victoria and Tourism Australia's market research, understanding the spend, understanding the dynamics of the industry, understanding the timing within the industry. In terms of Tower Hill here, it took us probably 2 years to get the product mix right in regards to saleable items, but it also made us work harder in wanting to understand what the product mix needs to be, and that's about listening to people, but also doing the research. Our pricing policy is based on research. We believe it's an interesting one, that, because our product was a little bit cheap to start with, and I'm talking about the guided experience.
This one here with the smaller, sort of more handsome, more debonair phyllodes is from Victoria. Even
because
it's actually native to Australia. It's not Indigenous
the tourism
area.
market depends on you having a commissionable product. If you were just relying on people walking through the gate, then okay, your price point might be okay, but the facts of the thing is, if you want to be brochured with a wholesaler, there has to be a commissionable figure in there. So, in business, you can make the fatal mistake of being too cheap, and I know particularly with the European market and the Australian dollar, and the North Americans and the Europeans don't flinch because of the dollar and obviously because of the experience. We take too much for granted in Australia, our backyard, and it's a really commercial product.
A small section of that on the affected area, and it will heal it within 24 hours.
That people are willing to pay for if you can deliver the story with it, and that's the secret. It's about the story in any business, I think. It doesn't matter if you're an asphalter. If you can sell that story and the reason you're there and personalise whatever you do, I think that's a very, very successful business strategy. Partnerships have been fundamental to our growth, and whether at local government, state government or Commonwealth government, we have a commercial services agreement, which, by the way, we have to buy. We have tourism licences that we're treated similar to everybody else, and so we have all the obligations under a commercial services agreement. But aside from the commercial services agreement, there's an MOU which has been in place for some time now, and it's based on community relationships. We give a fair bit back, and we work hard at doing that because we don't want to be seen. We try to use the media a bit and say everything that we give back, because underlying a lot of people's thoughts is it's an Aboriginal organisation. It's purely exists on grants. whereas we work hard at giving things back and being a contributing partner rather than just, the Aboriginal group sitting at the table. So we contribute probably a lot more than we receive in our partnerships.
And it's about trying to encourage Aboriginal people to take ownership of responsibility of what employment's about. It shouldn't be just about the financial aspects. It's about, what you take out of it as an employee, the enjoyment side of it, and being able to actually enjoy it through teaching and through participating in your own culture is another benefit. It's a true benefit there. 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, does that make sense?
Fundamental mistake that I've noticed in business development is that as the owner of a business, not that I'm the owner, I'm part of a cooperative, but as the owner of the business, your expectations can be a little bit out of sorts with your people. So unless you're willing to import the skills, you need to pace your growth along with the pace of development and the expectations of the people around you, and particularly in a cooperative, in a business, community business, it's very, very important that people are up to speed with your ideas and your visions and, the overall business objectives, because it's too easy to leave people behind. And my view on that would be that you'd be better off to hold back a couple of years and bring your people up to speed, because community business is about social capital, it's about people capital, and it's about cultural capital. Money in a lot of instances is probably the last element that you need to include. I mean, it's essential, but unless you have those other elements involved, it won't work.
I mean, one of the benefits of our community enterprise is the fact that we get an opportunity to actually use our culture, which is who we are as Aboriginal people. We use it as a tool to actually, it's an educative process of being able to, one, continue practicing our culture, but as well as getting the opportunity to actually teach our culture to our visitors, whether they be from, local school groups or whether they be from school groups from Melbourne or national or international visitors. It's a tool to actually present and promote our identity and our existence within the community.
Our Aboriginal staff, whether it's a guided walk or a conversation or a saleable item, get an opportunity to promote culture. Tower Hill has given our staff the facility to reinvigorate the culture and, I guess, a vehicle to market that culture to the world. And I've seen the difference here with people. We've had people that were pretty much 4 years ago into their work life or choosing to end their work life reasonably early, that have turned, and I'm talking about younger people and older people, that have now picked themselves up and are proud to say they're a part of this organisation and part of promoting their culture through this place. Very, very important. And on the social context, you've got people, family members, community members that actually, Tower Hill's a part of them. There's a lost story here. We've got that story re-happening, and as I said before, we'd like to attract a lot of positive media attention, and this facility's been able to do that.
This Gundidj actually provide the opportunity to actually, give me that sense of, constant change every day. You don't know who's going to walk through the door. You don't know what level of information they know or they don't know, and every walk is an experience for me. Every activity that I do is new and different. And this enterprise allows me to have that diversity and allows me to have that flexibility, which is fantastic. And I think that's very appealing for Indigenous people too, because our culture was an evolving culture. It changed, and through interaction with other groups and new experiences provides that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I made the change.
If you wanted to sum it all up, I think it was about Aboriginal perceptions, getting away from the welfare story and presenting ourselves as a viable business enterprise. And we certainly are that now. We're certainly regarded as, genuine contributors to the broader economy and social and cultural development of the community.